When Llaya Rose fell, I was shoving a cupcake into my mouth. Honestly, her fall was perfectly executed. She tilted her body at a 45-degree angle, her hair sweeping a perfect arc, and even bounced slightly when she hit the ground. I even saw her adjust her skirt mid-fall to make sure she didn't flash anyone. "Why would you push me?" Her eyes brimmed with tears. Her voice trembled, one hand clutching her stomach, the other pointing straight at me. Her tears fell perfectly timed, done by one, distinct and precise, clinging just long enough to her lashes before dropping. I swallowed my cupcake and asked her seriously, "You're a dancer, right?" Llaya froze for a split second. That fall had classical dance written all over it. I mimicked her motion, especially that delicate hand gesture at the end. Spot on. Juilliard graduate. A crack appeared in her carefully composed expression. "But you made one mistake. What? You're clutching the wrong place. I would have pushed your back. So you should have fallen forward, but you fell facing me. That defies the laws of physics. Newton would be rolling in his grave." "You're welcome." The room went dead silent. The onlookers' popcorn slipped from their hands. Lila's lips trembled twice. Then she looked over my shoulder. "Connor, look at her." I turned around and saw my beloved husband, Connor Grant, striding toward us. He was wearing a black suit, and with that cold, sharp face of his, he looked exactly like he'd come to a funeral. That's the face that tricked me into marrying him. When a man is that good-looking, you automatically assume he's got personality flaws. I just didn't realize he'd have so many. The biggest one was that he came with a long-lost love. Connor didn't even glance at me. He knelt down immediately to help Llaya up. He handled her like she was a live bomb. In 3 years of Riage, I could count on one hand the number of times he'd helped me U-pan. 2 of those times were because I'd twisted my ankle in heels and he was embarrassed to be seen with me. "Scarlett Bennett, you're out of line." He finally looked at me. His gaze was as cold as a soda straight from the fridge. "She just came over to say hello. Why would you push her? Do you even know she has a heart condition?" "Hold on." I held up my cupcake. "Let me get this straight. I've got a cupcake in one hand and a fork in the other. What was I supposed to push her with?" "My mind." "I saw you reach out with my own eyes." I reached out to grab a napkin. "See? Right behind her head." I pointed to the napkin dispenser on the table. "Your precious long-lost love just happened to be standing in front of it." "That's a coincidence, not attempted murder." Tears welled up in Lila's eyes again. "You're right. It's all my fault. I never should have come back. Connor, please let me go." "You're not the one who needs to leave." Connor stared at me coldly, pulled a few sheets of paper from his suit jacket, and slammed them down on the table. "Divorce agreement." 5 big, bold, printed words. Connor Grant had already signed as the petitioner. His handwriting was sharp, every stroke dripping with resentment. "Sign it." When he said those 2 words, I could tell he'd rehearsed them 100 times in his head. His tone was crisp, authoritative, like a hero in an action-adventure novel about to strike down his enemy. Too bad he was talking to me. "Are you serious?" "I never joke. Last month you said you'd love me forever. Was that a joke?" His face froze for a second. Llaya coughed pointedly and leaned weakly against his shoulder. Connor immediately regained his cold composure and pushed the agreement closer to me. "Cut the crap. Sign it." I glanced at the agreement. The property division was interesting. Company shares. His. Marital home. His. Cars. His. All I got was a settlement payment that looked impressive on paper, but was barely enough to buy a small 2-bedroom apartment in this city. "Connor, did you draft this yourself?" "So what if I did?" "You didn't consult a lawyer." "I didn't need to. I can tell." I nodded. "Because there's a huge legal loophole in here." He frowned. "What loophole?" "You didn't bother to investigate my personal assets." Connor laughed. That condescending laugh of his. "You, assets, Scarlett. You were just an office worker before you married me. What assets could you possibly?" I set down my fork, pulled a piece of paper from my bag, unfolded it, and slapped it down next to the divorce agreement. An ultrasound report. Intrauterine pregnancy. Approximately 7 weeks. Connor's smile froze solid. Lila's coughing stopped too. The air went still for 3 full seconds. Llaya recovered first, grabbing Connor's sleeve. Connor, I'm also. You're pregnant too. I finished for her. Clapping my hands. What a coincidence. Wanna shake on it? Her hand froze midair, unsure whether to extend it or not. Connor stared at the ultrasound report like he'd just seen aliens land on Earth. He looked up at me, down at the report, back up at me, repeating the motion several times. You're pregnant. It says so on the ultrasound. Not that I drew it myself. When did this happen? About 7 weeks ago. One night. I don't feel comfortable going into details. You can fill in the blanks. The tips of his ears turned bright red, right before my eyes, when Llaya saw that. Her face turned even whiter than it had been when she faked her fall. Connor, she tugged weakly at his sleeve. My stomach hurts. Then go to the hospital. I held out my phone. Want me to call an ambulance? Make you an appointment? Obstetrics recommends a specialist. General practitioners have way too long of a wait. Layla's eyes reddened. Do you have to be like this? Like what? I looked at her sincerely. Is it so wrong to care about you? Connor finally snapped out of his shock. He looked at me, then at Llaya. His brain clearly struggling to process the information overload. I bet his brain was like an old computer with 20 tabs open, about to crash any second. Scarlett, this baby. I don't want this baby. I said it completely matter-of-factly. He blinked in confusion. What do you mean? Exactly what it says. You were so eager to sign that divorce agreement. Surely it's only fair that I find another CEO to be this baby's dad. I folded up the ultrasound report, picked up the divorce agreement, and tapped his signature. I'll keep the agreement. But the terms need to change. I'll have my lawyer draft a new one and send it to you. Scarlett, don't yell. What's the point? It doesn't bother me. But what if it scares the baby? You said Llaya has a heart condition. Haven't you heard that pregnant women can't have emotional stress either? Connor opened his mouth, then closed it again. I'd never seen that look on his face before, furious but afraid to lash out, about to snap but holding it back, like someone had hit the pause button on him. Llaya watched from the side, and her tears finally fell properly, not one by one. Perfectly timed, but in a steady stream. These were real. I grabbed my bag and waved at them. I'm leaving. We'll talk about the divorce another time. Oh. Anne. I pointed at Llaya. That fall was absolutely spectacular. You should teach classes. I'd sign up. And then I walked away without looking back. Behind me, I heard Connor growl my name, Scarlett, but I ignored him. Once I was outside the banquet hall, I took a deep breath. Putting on that act was exhausting. I pulled out my phone and texted my best friend, Chloe Miller. Done. She texted back instantly. Did you get the divorce? Not yet, but I dropped a bombshell. What? I'm finding a new dad for my baby. Chloe sent 6 question marks in a row, then called me immediately. Scarlett, are you insane? What baby? You just had your period last month. I even brought you ginger tea with honey. Remember, keep your voice down. You're not pregnant, technically. No, I'm definitely not pregnant today. Then where'd you get the ultrasound? I had your aunt Photoshop it for me last night. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Chloe's aunt runs a print shop, and her Photoshop skills are legendary. She can turn a 70-year-old man into a 17-year-old boy. A simple ultrasound report was child's play. You're insane, Chloe finally said. But why? Why not just get the divorce and be done with it? And get what? A tiny 2-bedroom apartment. I said as I walked. Connor drafted that agreement himself, and he kept everything for himself. Half his company was built during our marriage. I am entitled to that. So you're faking a pregnancy to buy time for negotiations. More than that. I stopped and stared at a billboard of Connor on the side of the road. He had his arms crossed, his expression cold, and next to him it said, Grant Corporation, Trusted. I wanted to give him a taste of the classic groveling arc. Chloe gasped. Are you serious? Kidding. I laughed. I just don't want to let him off easy. 3 years of marriage, and all he ever thought about was his precious long-lost love. What was I? A piece of furniture in his house. So what's next? What's next? I thought for a second. First, I'm going to lay low. I told his long-lost love I was finding another CEO dad. This news will be all over the city by tomorrow. Connor cares more about his reputation than anything, so he'll definitely come looking for me. Are you scared of him? No, I'm giving him time to process his feelings. What feelings? Guilt. The guiltier he feels, the better the divorce terms will be for me. I hung up, turned off my phone, and checked into a hotel with my suitcase. I stayed at the hotel for 3 days. My phone was off, and I didn't talk to anyone. Chloe texted me from a different number, keeping me updated on everything that was happening. Day 1. Connor took his long-lost love to the hospital. Test results. Perfectly fine. LMAO. Day 2. Connor was completely distracted in the meeting today. His employees called his name 3 times and he didn't respond. His assistant said she's never seen him like this. Day 3. Bombshell. The long-lost love went to the office to see Connor today, and security turned her away. He refused to see her. I read the last message, then finished putting on my lipstick in front of the mirror. It's time. I turned on my phone, and 47 missed calls and 32 text messages flooded in, all from Connor. The messages went from "Where are you?" to "Answer the phone" to "Scarlett, stop being ridiculous" to "I'm sorry." The tone shifted dramatically. The last one, sent this morning, said, "Scarlett, let's talk. I accept responsibility for the baby." I stared at that word "accept" for a long time. He was accepting responsibility for the baby, not for me. So I texted him back 2 words. "Where?" He texted back instantly. "Where are you? I'll come pick you up." "No, tomorrow at 3 p.m. The coffee shop across from the county clerk's office. Bring your driver's license and birth certificate." I sent that, then turned my phone off again. This time it wasn't a strategy, I just didn't want to be interrupted because my show dropped a new episode. The next afternoon, I wore my most casual dress, no makeup, my hair in a high ponytail, and showed up at the coffee shop exactly on time. Connor was already there. He was sitting by the window, 2 cups of coffee in front of him, 1 black coffee, 1 latte. The latte was for me. In 3 years of marriage, that's the one thing he remembered. I don't drink black coffee. He'd lost a little weight. There were dark circles under his eyes. His suit was still perfectly pressed but his tie was crooked. For Connor, that was a fashion disaster. "Scarlett." He stood up and tried to pull out my chair. I sat down before he could. "Let's talk." I set my bag on the table and pulled out the divorce agreement. It was covered in my notes and revisions, written in red, blue, and green pen. From a distance, it looked like an abstract painting. Connor didn't look at the agreement. He was staring at my stomach. "How's the baby?" "Great. It's learning how to swim." "Swim?" "I swim. It swims." "Prenatal education." His face twisted, clearly trying to figure out if I was serious or not. "Scarlett, I was wrong before. I shouldn't have." "Stop." I picked up my latte and took a sip. Perfect temperature, and the foam was silky smooth. "Connor, let's not talk about feelings. Let's talk business." "What business?" "I'm not happy with the property division in your agreement." I pushed my revised version across the table. "I don't want the company shares. Give me the cash equivalent. Sell the house. Split it 5,050. You can keep the cars. I don't want them. And triple the settlement payment." He picked up the agreement and glanced at it, his brow furrowing. "This amount? Think it's too much." I set down my cup. "Then let's look at it another way. The baby takes my last name. Bennett. I'll name him Connor Bennett. How does that sound?" Connor's face turned bright green. "No." "Then maybe you should reconsider the property division." He took a deep breath, then another, like he was psyching himself up. "We can negotiate the money, but I have one condition." "Let's hear it." "No divorce." I almost choked on my coffee. "Connor, you're the one who asked for the divorce." "I was wrong. You said you never joke." "That was the joke. You saw me push your long-lost love with your own eyes." "I was mistaken. It must have been the angle. Or the lighting. Or maybe she really did fall on her own." I was stunned by his audacity. 3 days ago, he'd oozed with confidence and authority when he said sign it. Now it was I was wrong. That turnaround was so fast. Even a master of quick change would be impressed. "So you believe I didn't push her?" "I believe you." "What about her saying I pushed her?" "She misremembered." "And what you saw with your own eyes?" "My eyes betrayed me." I stared at him for a full 10 seconds. He kept a straight face, looking completely sincere, like he was genuinely remorseful. This man should have been an actor. The world is missing out. Connor, I don't believe a single word that's coming out of your mouth right now, Scarlett. Besides, I cut him off. The whole city already knows about the divorce. Everyone knows I'm finding a new dad for this baby. Do I have no pride? His face twisted again. Then can you not find a new dad, just yet? When he said that, his voice was so low I could barely hear him. The tips of his ears were bright red, like they were about to bleed. A CEO, reduced to begging like this. I should have felt touched, but I didn't, because I'd noticed something. Every single question he'd asked had been about the baby. Connor, you don't want a divorce because of the baby. He hesitated for 1 second. That 1 second was all it took for me to make up my mind completely. Enough. I stood up. I'll have my lawyer draft the final agreement and send it to you. Don't worry about the baby, I already found someone. Found who? I told you. Another CEO. Who? Not you. I turned and walked away. I'd taken 3 steps when I heard a crash behind me. I turned around and Connor was on his knees. One knee on the ground. One hand braced on the table. The other clutching the crumpled, marked-up divorce agreement. He looked like he'd just swallowed a live frog. Everyone in the coffee shop turned to look. Someone pulled out their phone to take a picture. Scarlett. When he said my full name, his voice was shaking. I'm begging you, don't divorce me. Honestly, I never thought he'd kneel. Connor Grant was proud to the bone. When he was courting me, he couldn't even say I like you without beating around the bush. He'd said, if you don't hate me, we could try this. In 3 years of marriage, I love you had been said less often than shooting stars. And now he was on his knees, in front of half the coffee shop. But I still wasn't touched. Get up first. Promise me first. Are you threatening me? It's not a threat. It's a plea. He looked up at me. His eyes were red, bloodshot, like he hadn't slept in days. That handsome face held a vulnerability I'd never seen before. Scarlett, I know I've treated you terribly. All these years, I've had someone else in my heart. And I thought that was love. His voice was so low only I could hear him. But these past few days, when I couldn't find you, I went crazy. I went to the place we first met, to your favorite restaurant, to every place you've ever been, and then I realized. He swallowed hard. I don't know anything about you. Your favorite restaurant changed twice, and I had no idea. You changed desks at work several times, and I never visited. Where was I on your birthday? I was with Llaya, taking her to the doctor. Layla Rose, his long-lost love. He'd finally said her name. All these years, I gave all my patience to her. And all my coldness to you. I thought you didn't matter. I thought marrying you was settling. Until you held up that ultrasound and said you didn't want this baby. His voice cracked. I realized I could lose anyone but I couldn't lose you. The coffee shop was dead silent. Someone was recording a video. Others were whispering. And I, silently, was grading his performance. Good lines, great emotion, decent body language. But he still hadn't said why he wanted to keep me. All he'd said was I can't lose you. Not I love you. This was the instinctive reaction of a spoiled man facing a loss. It wasn't love. It was withdrawal symptoms. Connor, yes. I have one question for you. Ask me, if I wasn't pregnant, would you be on your knees here today? He froze. This time, he hesitated for more than just 1 second. I smiled, leaned down, and whispered in his ear, so only he could hear. I'm not pregnant. The ultrasound was photoshopped. It's fake. He looked like he'd been struck by lightning. His hand went limp, and the divorce agreement fell to the floor. What did you say? I said I'm not pregnant. Not at all. Not ever. I made it up to get you to negotiate the divorce terms. I stood up straight and took another sip of my coffee. So you can take back your no divorce now. Connor stayed on his knees, his expression shifting from shock to confusion to complete blankness, like a student who just realized he'd gotten every single question wrong on a test. You lied to me. Yep. Learned it from your long-lost love. She faked a fall for sympathy. I faked a pregnancy for sympathy. You two taught me well just applying what I learned. You. He stood up. All that vulnerability gone, replaced by the anger I knew so well. Scarlett Bennett, you're out of line. Oh, that line sounded familiar. 3 days ago. That had been the first thing he'd said to me. Out of line. I set down my coffee cup. Where was this outrage when you slammed that divorce agreement down in front of me? That's different. How is it different? You wanted to divorce me over a fake fall. I faked a pregnancy so I wouldn't walk away with nothing. Who's the worst person here? His lips were trembling. I couldn't tell if it was from anger or something else. So this whole time, you were just manipulating me. Takes one to know one. You manipulated my feelings. I manipulated your money. We're even. I looked him dead in the eye and said every word slowly, clearly. Connor, I am getting this divorce, no matter what. Connor left. He looked at me once before he left. There was anger in that look, hurt, and something else I couldn't quite name, but I didn't stop him. After he left, I sat alone in the coffee shop and finished my latte. My phone rang. It was Chloe. Scar. Someone posted the video of Connor kneeling online. It's trending at 3 on X. You have to see it. I saw. How did it go? Is he totally devastated? Are you crying your eyes out? Did you hug and make up? No. Then what happened? I told him I wasn't pregnant. There was silence on the other end of the line for 5 full seconds. Scar, you're my hero. Thank you. Then what? What did he say? He left. Just left. Yep. He was furious. Said you're out of line and left. So what now? We keep going with the divorce. But now, he probably won't fight me on the property division. Why? Because he feels guilty, and now that I lied to him, he's even more confused. People make bad negotiation decisions when they're emotional. Chloe was silent again. Scar. Yeah, have you ever thought that maybe he really is sorry? I have. Then why? Chloe. I cut her off. He is sorry, but he's not sorry for what he did to me. What do you mean? He's sorry because he's losing me, not because he hurt me. Those are two completely different things. I paused, then continued. If he was truly sorry for hurting me, he would have asked, "Are you okay? Did I hurt you? How have you been these past 3 years?" But all he ever said was, "I can't lose you. I'm going crazy. I need you." It was always about him, never about me. Chloe sighed. You're right. He doesn't deserve you. Deserve or not, it doesn't matter anymore. I grabbed my bag and stood up. I just want what's mine, and then I'm gone. So what's next? Find the best divorce lawyer in the city, file for divorce and go to trial if I have to. That divorce agreement he wrote himself. It's going to look great in court. Scar. Yeah, you're the coolest person I know. I laughed, hung up the phone, and walked out of the coffee shop. The sun was shining brightly outside. 3 days ago, I'd walked through that door as Mrs. Grant. 3 days later, I walked out as a woman who was about to be happily single. The wind blew, and I took a deep breath. It smelled like freedom. The next week was busy, productive. I hired the best divorce lawyer in the city, and submitted Connor's handwritten divorce agreement as evidence of impulsive, emotional decision-making. My lawyer's eyes lit up when she read it. She said this case is a slam dunk. Connor texted me every single day. Day 1, Scarlett, let's talk. I didn't reply. Day 2, I don't care that you lied to me. I really don't. I didn't reply. Day 3, you're right. I never considered your feelings. Give me a chance to make it right. I replied with one word. Oh. He didn't text on day 4. I thought he'd given up. But on the 5th morning, there was a knock on my hotel room door. I opened the door in my pajamas. And there was Connor. He looked even worse than he had at the coffee shop. He hadn't shaved. The dark circles under his eyes were worse, and his shirt was wrinkled like he'd been wearing it for days. He was holding a bag of breakfast. Morning. His voice was hoarse, like sandpaper. What are you doing here? Brought you breakfast. Connor, did you forget something? Forget what? We're in the middle of a divorce. You don't need to bring breakfast to your soon-to-be ex-wife. He was silent for a second. I haven't signed the divorce agreement. You will. I won't. Then we'll see each other in court. I went to close the door, but he put his hand in the way. Scarlett, give me 10 minutes. No. 5. Not even 1. Then let me say 3 things. Then I'll leave. I leaned against the doorframe, crossed my arms, and stared at him. Go ahead. He took a deep breath. First, I read every single text you ever sent me, from when we first met until last month. 47,218 texts. And what did you learn? I learned that you used to text me goodnight every single day. And I replied less than 10 times. That every time you asked if I was coming home for dinner, I said I was busy. That on your birthday, you texted me, "Are you working late?" And I replied, "Yeah." And you said, "Okay, take care of yourself." He paused, his voice shaking a little. "I didn't know it was your birthday. You never told me." "I did tell you," I said calmly. "Our first year of marriage." I said, "Today's my birthday." You said, "Oh, happy birthday." Then you took a phone call and left. I never mentioned it again. Connor's face looked like he'd just gotten a slap in the face. Second, I took care of Llaya. I got her a therapist. I'm paying for everything. She won't bother you again. And third, he looked at me, his eyes bloodshot, his voice so low I could barely hear him. "Can you ever forgive me?" I was silent for 3 seconds. Then I smiled. "Connor, all 3 of those sentences were still about you. First, you read my texts. You realized I was hurt. Second, you took care of Llaya. You think you did the right thing. Third, you asked if I can forgive you because you need to be forgiven. You need to feel better. Did you ever stop to think if I needed you to realize I was hurt? If I needed you to take care of Llaya? If I needed to forgive you?" He froze. "Everything you've done has been to make yourself feel better. Just like when you knelt down. You thought kneeling would erase 3 years of coldness. You thought bringing breakfast would make up for all the hurt. You thought saying I'm sorry would make everything go away. Boo. The world doesn't revolve around you, Connor." I took a step forward and pointed at his chest. "Your apology is for you, not for me. You need me to forgive you, to say it's okay, to come back to you because that's the only way you don't have to face the fact that you're an asshole. But why? Why should I spend 3 years being miserable, just to make you feel better about yourself?" He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I dropped my hand. "Keep the breakfast. I have a meeting with my lawyer." I closed the door in his face. I thought Llaya was out of the picture for good. Turns out I was wrong. That afternoon, I left the law firm and was about to call a taxi back to the hotel. A white car pulled up in front of me, and the window rolled down to reveal Llaya's face. She was wearing a white dress, her makeup perfect. And she looked perfectly healthy, not at all like someone who needed a therapist. "Scarlett, can we talk?" "No. 5 minutes. Did you two plan this?" He said 3 sentences. You say 5 minutes. Is the next person going to do a stand-up routine? Llaya smiled. But it didn't reach her eyes. "I know you're not pregnant. The whole city knows. Next, I also know Connor's been looking for you non-stop. So I'm asking you to stop torturing him." I stopped walking and turned to look at her. "And who are you to ask me that?" "As someone who cares about him." She paused. "Oh, a long-lost love caring about a married man. That's a classic storyline, but it's been done to death. Can you stop being so snarky? Can you stop faking falls so badly?" Her face froze. "Scarlett, I'm not here to fight." She took a deep breath. "I just wanted to say that Connor's been miserable these past few weeks. He drinks until the wee hours every night. He can't focus on work. He's just a mess. So can you stop?" "Stop what?" "You lied to him about being pregnant. You know he cares about you, but you keep pushing him away. You could have a good life with him. Why are you doing this?" I stared at her for a long time. "Llaya, I have a question for you." "Go ahead." "You've known Connor for 10 years, right?" "Yes. You know everything about him. You know what he likes, what he hates, when he's happy, when he's sad. You even know what nonsense he talks when he's drunk, right?" Her eyes flickered. "Yes." "Then tell me this. In 3 years of marriage, what does his wife like to eat?" She froze. "Don't know." "I'll tell you." I smiled. "I like shrimp dumplings." He still doesn't know that. You know what? Every time he brought me breakfast, it was just whatever he grabbed on the way, because he had no idea what I liked. "Then why didn't you tell him?" "I did tell him." My voice lost its snark, became soft and calm. "Our first year of marriage, I said I like shrimp dumplings." He said "Oh," and went back to his phone. I never mentioned it again. Llaya said nothing. "Do you know what kills a marriage?" I looked at the billboard across the street, still showing Connor's face. "It's not fighting. It's not cheating. It's when nothing you say matters. When you say something over and over, and it falls on deaf ears. Eventually, You just stop talking. This time, he knelt down, brought breakfast, sent text she looks like he's trying. Right. But he's not trying to get to know me. He's trying to get me to forgive him. Those are two completely different things. He never understood why I gave up on him. I looked back at her, and neither do you. You've loved him for 10 years. You know everything he likes, but you don't know why he never loved you back. You thought if I was gone, he'd finally notice you. But he won't. Because Connor Grant only loves himself. Always has. Always will. Layla's eyes reddened. These were real tears, not the fake ones. You're right. Her voice trembled. I spent 10 years chasing a man who doesn't even know how to love. Then you had it worse than me. I patted her shoulder. I only wasted 3 years. She looked up at me. And tears fell down her cheeks. So you're definitely getting the divorce. Definitely. You don't love him anymore. No, I don't have any love left to give him. She wiped her tears, then suddenly smiled. Scarlett. I wish I'd met you sooner. It's not too late. When the divorce is final, I'll buy you dinner and teach you how to spot toxic men. Don't put all your eggs in one basket ever again. She blinked in surprise, then laughed out loud. It was a real laugh. Nothing like the fake one she'd given me in the car. Deal. She started the car, and before she rolled up the window, she looked at me one more time. Scarlett. I'm sorry about the fall. Apology accepted, but you really need to work on your falling technique. Newton would be crying in his grave. She laughed and drove away. I stood there and smiled too. Why do so many women fall for the same stupid traps? The divorce agreement was finally signed. My lawyer drafted the final, official version. The property division was fair and legal. I got everything I was entitled to. When Connor signed his name, his hand was shaking. You're really not going to stay? No, Scarlett. I can change. I believe you can. But it's not my problem anymore. I took the signed agreement from him and put it in my folder. He looked at me, his eyes red like he'd been crying. A grown man in his 30s. Sitting in a law firm conference room in front of both our lawyers, with tears in his eyes. Did I ever tell you? What? I love you. He said it. In 3 years of marriage, he'd never said those 3 words, and now he was saying them. Right after signing the divorce papers, the conference room went dead silent. Both lawyers stared down at their files, pretending they weren't there. I looked at him, at the man I'd once loved with every fiber of my being. I know, you know. Yeah, you just didn't know how to show it. You were too slow. You never learned how to love anyone but yourself. I paused. But none of that is my problem. Connor, I'm not your life coach. I'm not your mother. I'm not your relationship coach. I was your wife. You were supposed to love me. Not make me teach you how. It's my fault I never learned. But you shouldn't have to suffer because of my mistakes. He had nothing to say to that. I grabbed my folder and stood up. I'm leaving. Take care of yourself, Scarlett. Oh. And one more thing. I turned around. I have some advice for you. What? Next time you date someone, don't use them as a band-aid for your teenage regrets. Long-lost loves are fantasies. Comparing anyone to your ex is an insult. And settling for anyone makes you an asshole. You need to learn how to treat people like people first. He stood there, frozen. I pushed open the conference room door, and sunlight flooded in. 3 months later, my new apartment was finished. It was a small 1-bedroom. But it was bright and sunny. There was a wall of bookshelves in the living room, and the bedroom window faced the park. I could hear birds singing every morning. The money from the divorce, plus my savings from the past few years, was more than enough to start over. Chloe came over for my housewarming party, bringing a bottle of red wine and a huge pile of takeout. Scar, guess who I saw today? Don't want to. Connor, at the mall. He was alone. He looked a lot thinner, shaved, looked okay. But nothing like the cocky guy he used to be. Oh, some people recognized him and whispered that's the CEO who knelt in the coffee shop. He heard them, and walked away without looking back. Oh, that's it. No reaction. I took a bite of shrimp dumpling and thought for a second. What was he wearing? A gray suit. Doesn't suit him. He looks better in black. Chloe's eyes widened. You still care what he wears? Just an objective observation. No feelings involved. Can't I comment on my ex's fashion sense? She rolled her eyes. Oh, by the way. She suddenly remembered. What about Llaya? Have you seen her since? Yeah, we had dinner last month. What? Chloe almost spilled her wine. You had dinner with the long-lost love. Yep. She's not so long-lost and innocent anymore. What do you mean? She dyed her hair black, got a new job, a new boyfriend. She's so much more normal now. She said she felt like someone had put a spell on her back then. You talked about that. Other stuff too. She taught me how to spot manipulative pick-me girls. I taught her how to spot toxic men. It was a mutual learning exchange. Chloe was silent for a second. Scarlett Bennett, your greatest talent is turning all this soap opera drama into a comedy. Life's already a soap opera. If I don't laugh, I'll cry. She raised her glass. To comedy. To freedom. We clinked glasses. Outside the window, the city lights started to turn on one by one. In the distance, the top floor of the tallest office building was still lit up. That was Grant Corporation's headquarters. 3 months ago, I'd had a man in that building who never came home to me. Now, that building was just another part of the skyline. My phone lit up with a text. Unknown number. Happy birthday. It's your birthday today. No signature, but I knew who it was from. I glanced at it, swiped it away, and went back to eating my shrimp dumplings. Chloe leaned over. Who was that? No idea. Just spam text. She looked at my face and said nothing. Outside, one of the lights in that tall office building went out, like someone was waiting for a reply that would never come. But in my apartment, the lights were bright, and I was home.